Hey, everybody, Dave Hagan here. Let's talk more about being productive at work. That's today on the Financial Wellness Podcast, Coronavirus Edition.
Welcome to the Financial Wellness Podcast, Dave's weekly message to keep you on your path to the financial success. Here is your host, financial problem solver and talk show host, Dave Hagan.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to this week's edition of the Financial Wellness Podcast. This is David Hagan coming to you from Topanga, California this week. Brian Reed's got the week off, but we got Nick Appel with us from San Diego. Nick, how you doing?
Good, Dave. How's everything over there in Topanga?
Good. It's smoky up here. How about down there in San Diego?
Yeah, it's also a little smoky. I can't believe all the fires that are occurring in California and Oregon right now.
Yeah, tough stuff, So, hey, we're coming to you from Topanga. We're coming to you from San Diego. And as always, beautiful downtown Van Nuys. Let's talk about being more productive. You know, I've got a friend who's got a business, and I was talking to him a couple of weeks ago, and he was telling me that he's got a business. It's got 100 employees or so, and they mostly do consulting, and they mostly do it over the phone. And he was saying that when the coronavirus hit, that they had to lay off more than half of their workforce, more than half. And the remaining employees are now all working from home. So all the space that they had is now pretty much deserted and empty, and they're doing all of this stuff from home. He figured that he would make the business kind of dormant or have it go sideways for a while we were trying to figure out the coronavirus. And that was a good strategy. It was a good coping strategy back in the early days of coronavirus, at least with respect to the business. Not so good for the employees, but certainly something that somebody needed to do to keep their business open and open to the possibility of coming back in 6 months. So now 6 months later, he's learned some surprising things. And the biggest surprise to him and to me was that the remaining 50% of the employees, actually less than 50% of the employees working from home, were just as productive as the old entire workforce. Now, this caused me to think, how can this be? How can 50% be as productive as 100%? So I started to do some thinking about this and checking around. And what I found was really pretty surprising. You know, I've always heard that an employee is only productive about 4 hours a day. And it turns out that this may no longer be true. Let me give you some history. You know, back in the industrial age, the average workday was 14 to 18 hours a day, and a lot of people work 6 days a week. And you had to be there. I mean, a lot of these jobs were manufacturing, and you have to be at the plant where the manufacturing's going on. And people were working these really long days. In fact, if they were working 14 to 15 hours or 14 to 18 hours, they were probably engaged another 2 hours altogether as they were going to work and coming back from work. And maybe they had a lunch hour in between. So most of people's day was consumed with work. And then around the turn of the century, some people started to promote a shorter day. And in fact, in 1817, there was a Welsh activist named Robert Owen, and he advocated for shorter work days all the way around. In fact, his slogan was 8 hours labor, 8 hours recreation, 8 hours rest. Now, we've talked about this three-way division of a workday. We've talked about it several times in the last year and a half on TFWP. So this is really nothing new with us. And then in 1914, Ford Motor Company astonished everybody by cutting daily hours down to 8 full hours and simultaneously doubling wages. Now, how'd they do that? I mean, there was a big uproar apparently, and everyone thought that Mr. Ford was crazy. But the result was it increased productivity. Now, shorter days mean higher productivity? I don't know. Maybe. Now, This may be due to change again as a result of the coronavirus. Hence, this is a coronavirus edition of TFWP, because more and more people are working from home. And it turns out we may not be that productive at work. We may be finding out that the idea of showing up 8 or 14 hours a day in a manufacturing society, or even just 8 hours a day in an office, may no longer be a good idea. Check this out. A recent study conducted at vouchercloud.com polled almost 2,000 people in the United Kingdom, and they were doing research into the online habits and productivity of their workers across the nation. Now, they're all full-time employees. They were all over 18, but they were looking to find out how much of the day these people were productive. And it seems as though the average worker spends a considerable amount of time goofing around. In fact, they found that workers were only productive on the average 2 hours and 53 minutes a day. Now, that just blows me away. Totally blows me away. How about you, Nick? Does that blow you away or what?
It absolutely does. I mean, the numbers just don't seem real.
No. I always knew that, we spent a lot of time just goofing around at the office during the day, but I never thought that.
Whoa.
So
Speak for yourself, Dave. I am a hard worker. Thank you.
As a young lawyer, and you'll come to understand this, Nick. You think, well, if I bill 8 hours a day, but to bill 8 hours, you got to be there 10 to 12. And that's a highly productive person. That's not a person that's, working at, one of these places that Voucher Cloud was looking at. It's very tough to be productive all the time, because stuff happens, stuff gets in the way. Someone pokes their head in and says, how was your weekend? You got to go down the room and take care of your personal business. You got to get a coffee refill. You got to talk to some staff member that's having a bad day. I mean, there's all sorts of things that come up and complicate your day, and it cuts into your productivity.
And I think it's a super interesting point that you bring up about how, if at least in the legal field, if you're billing 8 hours, you have to be in the office from 10, 11, 12 hours. If you want to have a conversation with a colleague for 15 minutes, that's an extra 15 minutes that's not being billed. If you need a coffee refill, like you're saying, if you need just a coffee throughout your day, or you just need a quick break, it doesn't factor into the long workday.
Right. No, it really doesn't. And for those people that are trying to capture the most amount of their time, or at least account for the most of their time, it's very helpful to write it down. I remember I worked with the guy one time, and we were billing time, and he knew that the management was looking over his shoulder, and he wanted to show he was busy, and he actually put down on his timesheet, point 2, biological break. It's like, that's one way to put it, I guess. I had somebody else tell me one time, hey, even if you're down the hall and sitting down, bill that. And I thought, that's just too much. That's too much. But it's hard to account for all of your day, and it's hard to make the total amount of your day productive. And I always knew that, but I had no idea that the average worker might be only productive 2 hours and 53 minutes. There's a lot of lost time there, seems to me. Go ahead.
I was going to say, it really does. And, to me, it seems that the number is, like I said before, just hard to believe. And just thinking about, let's just say, an average fast food worker who's on their feet for, let's just say, their entire shift, it seems very difficult to ascertain how they're only productive for, let's just say, a quarter of their shift.
Well, I think that this was in a traditional office environment, and this is, just one snapshot. I think that if you've got somebody that's, working at the counter at a burger place, it's hard to not be productive because the next person is in line,
Right.
or if you're assembling Teslas, it's hard not to be too productive because the next car is rolling down the line and you got to, put the parts on it or do whatever you need to do. But in a typical office environment, this is the bleed out of energy that people are apparently used to, people that are doing all the time. They talk about, well, at the water cooler tomorrow, people are going to talk. And that's good. It builds esprit de corps, but it also means that people are not being productive in terms of standing around talking. And maybe a lot of people are spending maybe too much time doing that, especially now, come to think of it, as I look kind of at this list, there's a list of what people are doing. The computer and all the information that's available from the computer, I see a lot of time bleeding out here. So let's talk about that for a minute. They asked people to estimate how much time they were spending a day doing different things other than being productive. And the list is really pretty interesting. Number one thing, they said, I'm checking my social media. This is during the working day, 44 minutes checking social media. What do you think, Nick?
That's just so long. I really want to interview these participants. Like, I want to know what they're doing that they have this amount of time, almost 1 hour, let's just say of an 8-hour workday, to be on their phone that much.
Yep. Just sitting there talking or checking out their Snapchat or whatever they check out. But apparently people are doing that. Kind of interesting. Number two, reading news sites on the web. Reading news websites, I guess, would be the way to say that. An hour and 5 minutes. Now, I've got caught up in this. I've done it. You see a little thing and it goes, oh, look at these actors and actresses when they were young and now, and you go, okay, that's an interesting person. Bo Derek or Harrison Ford.
Well, let's be real, Dave. Dave, let's be real. Anytime you see a Buffett article, we know that's where your mind's going.
I always go to the Buffett articles. You know that. But they've got all the commercials on the side, and they get you to go down this, this rabbit hole. I guess they call it clickbait. And now you're looking at 4, 5, 10 actors. And before you know it, you go, wow, look at the time. Even that new beer commercial with Snoop, he talks about, you look at someone's social media and before you know it, down we all go down the rabbit hole. And I thought I was the only one that kind of thought of it that way, but I guess a lot of people do. Kind of interesting. Yeah. Number 3, discussing out of work activities with colleagues, 40 minutes. Now, this is, considered good leadership skills if you spend some time walking around talking with people. But if it's not part of your job, it's cutting into your productivity and slows you down. 40 minutes a day.
I'm not going to lie. I do it as well, but I do it during my lunch break. I talk to my colleagues, see what's going on, see when's the next time we can hit the golf course, talk about current events. But I just can't resonate with this, Dave. I'm trying hard, but I can't.
Well, maybe you're just odd man out. You're just an oddball or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
But this is what this survey was showing, and it's just a more extreme version of what I've always been told over the years. Although I was told,
right,
people are productive 4 hours, 3 hours, something like that. Not
right.
2 hours 53. Number 4, making hot drinks, 17 minutes. Now for me, it's way more because I love the coffee. Right? Doesn't have to have cream and sugar, but I just love to have that nice warm coffee and the smell and all that stuff going on when I'm trying to do something creative or thinking. I think we should do a show on coffee. What do you think?
Let's do it, because actually, Dave, going back to the last one, I finally found one that I actually agree with. I think that 15 minutes for coffee or any other hot drinks during a day is valid. And I think that's fair and justifiable.
Right. Of course, it doesn't say making what kind of hot drinks. Is this like a rum and rum and coffee or a little hot toddy or, something like that.
Fancy Fridays.
I guess. I mean, I would hope not, but I'll bet there's someone slipping a little bit of love in their coffee, Here's one I can't relate to. Number 5, smoking breaks 23 minutes. No, I don't smoke. I don't get it. I don't like it. I just never been able to figure that out. But 23 minutes.
I'm on the same page as you. I also don't understand it, but I do know that people who do smoke, they need these breaks. But again, I think these breaks should be during their, at least in California, 10-minute rest period breaks.
Yeah. Yeah. So true. So true. Number 6, texting or instant messaging, 14 minutes. Now,
I think this is way more, Dave. I think out of everything, this is way understated.
Yeah. Everyone's looking at, what certain political figures are texting, or what do they call it? Not Instagramming.
I don't know, Dave. What do they call it?
Come on. What's the little 64 character? This is going to make me look so square. I've been talking about it all day long.
Donald Trump's favorite thing.
I wasn't going to mention any names.
The old Twitter.
Flickr. It's not Flickr. Twitter. That's what it is. Twitter, which is a multi-billion-dollar business and entity. But Twitter, people are looking at Twitters because, you're sitting there working and something comes up on your phone and it goes ding and you go, up, here we go. And then you're going down the rabbit hole. I have the same problem with my email because I've set it up so that my email will ding and it'll come up on the screen. But all day long, my screen is dinging and donging and, hey, how about this? How about that? And it's pretty distracting. I really need to turn that down, shut that off. How about number 7, eating snacks, 8 minutes?
Again, I can resonate with this one as well. I like to be efficient with my time, and I have some snacks I bring in the office, but I feel like I snack and work at the same time. I feel it's not mutually exclusive. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, no, I do the same thing. So if I get a snack now, if I don't have it, I'll like run next door, run to the snack shop, grab something and bring it back. And I kind of like having a little pile of, some peanuts or some stuff to chew on while I'm doing some thinking or certainly not on the phone, but when I'm doing some thinking or creating, it's nice to have a little something. So yeah. What's your favorite snack, Nick?
Oh man. Well, I do like the chewy chocolate chip bars.
Those are pretty good.
Recently, there's this, I believe it's a Korean candy I got at Costco. And I guess it's a snack, not a candy, but it's a little puff pastry ball. And inside they have a chocolate ganache. And it is so good. Yeah.
Never heard that before.
I'll send you one.
I thought you were going to go with the spicy outer coating. Have you ever had that? Like little rice pieces with the spicy overcoating or outcoating. Those are pretty good.
No, I haven't. It sounds good.
Yeah, no, I like the trail mix. Give me some peanuts, some almonds, maybe just a few little chocolate chip pieces, and I'm good to go. That works for me. Or I got to tell you, another great snack, an apple cut up with a little bit of salt on top. You got the whole sweet,
or peanut butter. Or peanut butter.
Peanut butter's killer. You're picking up your protein for the day. Good
Exactly.
stuff. Good stuff. All right, let's keep moving on this because I'm getting hungry. How about making food in the office, 7 minutes? Now that's different than eating snacks. That's actually sitting there making food. I don't know. I think it would be a lot more. If I go over to make food, it takes you 7 minutes to open something up and throw it in the microwave.
Yeah, I know when I go to the office during my lunch break, I usually meal prep. And so it's a simple 1.5, 2 minutes in the microwave. I have, a good meal.
And you're good to go. Number 9, 18 minutes making calls to the significant other or friends. I mean, I do. I talk to my wife during the day, not too long, but we like to check in. Sometimes I'll talk to a friend. I don't know.
And I think it's interesting because I think if you add this category to texting and instant messaging, that it comes out to around 25 minutes. And now I can understand it. If, we connect the two and, you're on your phone, you just say, hey, how's it going? And you have a little conversation. So if we connect the two categories, I can definitely see texting and phone calls to partners or friends for 25 minutes.
Right. Here's the coup de grace. Here's the death blow. Number 10, 26 minutes spent searching for a new job.
God. It's interesting, Dave. And, I had a hypothesis that I was going to bring up later. And I wonder if people are unproductive because they're not happy with their job.
Yeah.
Just something to think about.
Yeah, I know. I think that's right on. If you're happy and you're motivated by what you do, I think you're going to be a little more productive. But if you're just there to collect a check, if you're just there for the 9 to 5er, yeah, you start to look for ways to waste time maybe. And if that's the case, how do you solve that? Get a new job. Just go get a new job. I mean, if you don't like what you do, if you're going to spend a third of your hour or a third of your day at work and you don't like it, that's a tough existence, That's pretty tough. So I don't know. So if people are distracted at work, are they any better at home? Are they actually more productive? I always thought not, because you run to the kitchen for a little snack. You go out in the backyard and, pick a flower or see something that needs to be carried out to the trash can. I used to think that's not the case, but maybe that is the case. If you don't have to commute, if you've got a separate place to work, maybe you are productive more at home. Of course, now it depends upon the industry and the job, and we're overgeneralizing quite a bit here, but maybe. I mean, Henry Ford's experience would lead me to believe that a shorter workday makes people more productive. That was his experience. My friend's experience with his business, at the top of the podcast, we were talking about this friend, and his employees were working at home, and half as many people produced just as much output. The survey, now that I look at the survey and what apparently people are doing in a lot of offices, it would lead me to believe that maybe people would be more productive at home. Not every kind of job, but a lot of jobs. And perhaps this will lead to, another reexamination and restructuring of the workday. So we've got the industrial age, and then we've got the early 1900s, and the workday gets shorter. And now maybe work circumstances are going to change more. Maybe people are going to work at home more. Maybe people are going to work shorter hours and stay just as productive. All perhaps thanks to the coronavirus. Who knew? I don't think I want to say thank you, coronavirus, but it's a circumstance that's going to cause us to look at things a little bit different. What do you think, Nick?
I do, and I don't know if this is a tangent, and we may actually be able to have an episode on this. But
yeah,
I was just reading a Harvard Business Review article about how the UK and other European countries are making a 4-day work week instead of a 5-day work week, and are paying the workers the same amount of money, and the results are astonishing for work productivity and overall happiness. So I think we can do a whole episode on this. What do you think, Dave?
I think we should. Send me the link to that article and let's read it, talk about it, and then we can, send some of that information out to our TFWP group.
Sounds good.
So what are some takeaways? What are some takeaways from this little thought process, this article that we've read? Well, I think one, coronavirus is definitely going to cause businesses to re-examine how they conduct their business and how they interact with employees. I mean, that's how come we're calling it a coronavirus edition today, even though we're talking about something a lot more broad. 2, most people are productive for only a small portion of their business day, surprisingly so. 3, perhaps a good deal more business will get conducted at home on a go-forward basis. A couple of examples. I saw a recent realtor survey where they were saying that the hot ticket now in real estate is a place with an extra bedroom at home for an office, because more and more people are thinking about being at home. I've got a friend who would always work 5 days a week, go into the office every day like clockwork, 5 days a week. And he was doubting that he would ever go into the office when this whole coronavirus thing clears more than 2 or 3 days a week in the future, realizing and understanding that he can get so much more done at home. I've got a friend that works in the Silicon Valley. They moved up there and didn't appreciate the housing prices so much. And he's moving back to Southern California because he's got permission from his company to work full time. And P.S. And by the way, they just bought a house and it's got an extra bedroom for an office. So, to be more productive, let's realize all the stuff that drains our day. I guess that's the productivity tip. Be aware, be mindful of all the things that'll drain your energy, that'll skew your timesheet from productive to non-productive. And I think we should talk about more productivity tips next week. But for today, that's a wrap. This is Dave Hagan, and you're listening to the Financial Wellness Podcast.
You've been listening to the Financial Wellness Podcast, Dave's weekly message to keep you on your path to financial success. If you have a question that you would like Dave to answer on the podcast, go to thefinancialwellnesspodcast.com. You can leave an audio message with one click of a button or type your message into the question box. Either way, it's sent right to Dave's phone. Don't forget to subscribe to the podcast so you receive the new episode notifications. Let's listen in now as Dave answers some emails.
All right, Nick, we've got an email from someone in one of the Dakotas. So why don't you read that?
This is actually my favorite email from the week, Dave.
I like it.
It says, Dave, as another Elon fan over here, I'm
digging it already. A fellow Elon fan. Okay, keep going.
I think another term for retirement or someone who is financially self-sufficient could be, quote, end quote. I think this is the coolest way to describe retirement because the word autonomy is in the now. Look at Tesla and autonomous cars. Anyway, love the podcast, Dave, Nick, and Brian. Keep up the positive words and great advice. Happy face, Dakota.
All right. So this is, I don't know if this is from someone in Dakota, North or South, or if this is someone named Dakota, but if it's somebody named Dakota, that's kind of cool. I really like that. I also like that Dakota digs the podcast and she digs all three of the guys that are working on the podcast right now. So I think this is in response to a couple of episodes ago where we were talking about a better name for being retired, especially as people were retiring early. Retired used to be, hey, old and worn out and just waiting to die. And that's not really what's happening anymore as people are getting hip with some of these concepts that we talk about in TFWP, and they're retiring early and they're pursuing a second career or doing other things. And so we were looking for some other word besides retired. We talked about investor, we talked about some other words, and we really didn't have a word that we like. So we put together, a little bit of a contest kind of on the fly, and I offered up $100 of Nick's money to the person that put in the best name. And what we've got here is,
whoa, Dave, did I hear that correctly? Whoa.
What, did you just wake up? What?
Oh no, I had to process, it's okay. It's still early in the morning.
Yeah.
But I guess, maybe I can match it. So
we'll do
200. We'll do 200.
$200. All right, everybody. It's up to $200. Economically autonomous. And that relates to the word autonomous that our good friend Elon puts together. And I like it. I think we're getting warm. I think we're getting close. What about this? Financially autonomous.
I think it sounds good. I like the word autonomous. It has a good ring to it.
It says I've set myself up to be able to do what I want to do, which is kind of what this is about.
Well, isn't that what retirement is? You've set yourself up to where you don't need really anything else to help you out. To me, that's what autonomy is.
Yeah, but retirement used to be old and worn out, and I don't think that's I don't think that's what it is anymore. The more I've thought about this, the more I thought that maybe when the term FIRE becomes more popular, FIRE, financial independent, retired early. That kind of says it, but I don't think if you walked up to somebody and said, I'm on fire, they would understand what you were talking about.
They would think you're probably Richard Pryor.
There you go. But when I looked up retired in one of the dictionaries, it actually did mention fire. So maybe that term's starting to come around, but we definitely need something in the interim. And I'm kind of liking this financially autonomous. It's a nice way of saying, hey, I've made it and can do what I want. I was also thinking about a couple of episodes we were saying, look, talk about being financially autonomous and X, whatever the additional thing you're doing, being the X. So, hey, I'm financially autonomous and I'm a part-time baseball coach. I mean, that sounds pretty good to me, So something to think about. Everybody out there, keep thinking about this. We'll come up with something. Keep those ideas coming in, because Nick upped the ante this week to another $100 to $200. So the winner's going to take, $200. Be a pretty nice dinner.
I like this, Dave, but I do think we're at like 95% there. We just need to have that extra 5%.
Yeah. We just need to chew on a little bit, but I think we're pretty close, So keep those ideas coming in, especially if, you're one of the Dakotas that's out there. We appreciate the input. And tune in next week. We're working on some really interesting stuff. Nick has just sent me that article from Harvard Business Review talking about the benefits of 4-day work week. I want to talk about that. That sounds pretty interesting. And we'll spend some time on that, and also an episode on talking about more productivity tips, and the episode on coffee. So stay tuned. People ask me all the time, why should I listen to this? And Nick, I was kind of thinking about it, and I thought, you know what? Because you can think like a wealthy person for 30 minutes a week. That sounds like a pretty good idea. Learn how to be wealthy, and all these other topics we talk about, but learn how to be wealthy in 30 minutes a week. I don't know. Think about that. But that's it for today. That's a wrap. Nick, thanks for coming to us from San Diego today.
Of course, Dave. It's always a pleasure.
All right. We'll talk to you all next week. This is Dave Hagan, and you've been listening to the Financial Wellness Podcast.
You've been listening to the Financial Wellness Podcast, Dave's weekly message to keep you on your path to financial success. If you have a question that you would like Dave to answer on the podcast, go to thefinancialwellnesspodcast.com. You can leave an audio message with one click of a button, or type your message into the question box. Either way, it's sent right to Dave's phone. Remember, Dave will randomly draw from the submitted questions and pick the winner of a free 1-hour personal conversation with Dave to help you achieve your financial goals. Don't forget to subscribe to the podcast so you receive the new episode notifications, or share the podcast via the app with your family and friends. This is your announcer, Nick Appel, wishing you every financial success.